Most men think turning a woman on is all about what you do in the bedroom, but the truth is, it starts long before you ever touch her. Picture this: you've been with a woman for a while. Maybe it's a new spark, maybe it's a long-term relationship. You want to light that fire again, but no matter what you try, things feel flat. You start overthinking, doubting yourself, and wondering if maybe the magic is gone. Here's the reality. Attraction isn't just about looks, status, or some flashy move you saw in a movie. It's about the little moments, the things you say, the way you carry yourself, the way you create tension without rushing it. These subtle triggers work on a deeper, almost primal level. And when you understand them, you can flip that switch in her mind where she starts craving you in a way that's almost impossible to resist. Today, we're going to break down 10 proven ways to drive her wild, techniques that blend timeless masculine presence with a Stoic mindset. So you're not just chasing desire, you're commanding it. Some of these you might already be doing without realizing it. Others will surprise you, but once you know them, you'll never see attraction the same way again. Let's get into it. Number 1. Create anticipation. One of the most powerful turn-on triggers for a woman has nothing to do with physical touch, and everything to do with what happens in her mind before that touch ever happens. Anticipation is the art of stretching out desire. It's the slow burn that makes her want more without you having to constantly chase. When you create anticipation, you're not throwing everything on the table at once. You're letting her imagination do the heavy lifting. And trust me, a woman's imagination can take your connection much further than anything you could say outright. Think about it like this. When you go to a movie, the trailer doesn't give you the entire plot. It gives you just enough to make you want to see the whole thing. In attraction, you are that trailer. Every glance, pause, and word you choose plants an image in her mind. Take Michael, a 42-year-old architect in Austin. He'd been dating Rachel, 39, for a few months. Early on, he noticed that when he backed off just slightly, ending a text conversation while it was still fun, or leaning in like he was about to kiss her, but pausing to smile instead, Rachel would be the one leaning forward, texting first the next day, looking for the moment to close that gap. Michael wasn't playing games. He was simply controlling the pace. That pacing built tension, and tension is magnetic. The mistake most men make is rushing to close every gap as soon as it opens. They want to answer her text instantly, lock down every plan immediately, or move in physically before she's had time to feel that delicious uncertainty. But here's the truth. Uncertainty, in the right dose, is a thrill. This is where Stoicism quietly works in your favor. The Stoics teach that self-control is a form of strength. In this case, restraint communicates that you're not desperate for her validation. You can enjoy the moment without clinging to it. That calm, grounded energy makes her feel like she's with a man who knows his value. And a man who knows his value is far more attractive than one who's constantly trying to prove it. In practice, creating anticipation might mean complimenting her in a way that hints at more without spelling it out. Maybe you tell her, "You have no idea how good you look right now," and then you change the subject. Or you sit next to her, close enough that she can feel your presence, but you don't touch her yet. The key is to make space for her to fill in the blanks. And here's the beautiful part: the version she imagines will almost always be more powerful than anything you could plan. So, next time you're with a woman, ask yourself, am I giving her room to want more, or am I giving her everything too soon? Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with, "I create tension," if you've ever tried slowing things down just to see how she reacts. And don't go anywhere, because in the next part, we're going to talk about a technique that works hand in hand with anticipation, but adds a layer of psychological depth that most men completely overlook. Number 2. The good old-fashioned make-out session. Sometimes, in a world obsessed with moving fast, the most powerful thing you can do is slow everything down. A kiss, when done right, can ignite more desire than anything that comes after it. And I'm not talking about the rushed, mechanical kiss that feels like a formality. I mean the kind that builds, lingers, and makes her forget where she is. Here's the thing. Physical intimacy is not just about contact, it's about presence. When you're fully in the moment with her, when your mind isn't racing ahead to what happens next, you can turn something as simple as a kiss into an experience that stays with her for days. In Stoic philosophy, there's a principle about savoring the present moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." In attraction, this translates to giving her your undivided attention, your focus on her breath, the warmth of her skin, the subtle shifts in her posture. That focus makes her feel seen, not just touched. The mistake a lot of men make is treating a make-out session like a checkpoint. They think, this is step one before step two. But when you see it as its own event, something worth enjoying for its own sake, it stops being a means to an end and becomes a turn-on all by itself. The good old-fashioned make-out session works because it tells her you're not in a rush. You're not there to close the deal as fast as possible. You're confident enough to take your time, and that confidence communicates abundance that you're a man who's in control of himself. Imagine leaning in, letting the tension build for just a few extra seconds before your lips meet hers. Imagine pulling back slightly, enough for her to want to close that gap herself. That subtle push and pull is primal. It keeps her guessing and engages her emotionally, not just physically. And it's not just about your lips. It's about your hands, the way you hold her, the slight pressure, the pauses between kisses. It's the rhythm you create, not too predictable, not too chaotic, but perfectly in tune with her energy. From a psychological standpoint, lingering in a make-out session creates a loop in her brain. The dopamine hit of anticipation keeps firing because you're not letting the moment collapse into something routine. You're giving her a high she can't get by swiping through her phone or talking to another guy. The Stoics would call this mastery over impulse. Most men can't hold back because they're chasing an outcome. But when you're able to fully enjoy the kiss for what it is, you're showing that you value the process as much as the result. That's rare, and rarity is attractive. So, if you want to drive her wild, don't underestimate this lost art. Slow it down. Make her feel like this moment is the only thing that matters. When she walks away, she won't be thinking about what didn't happen, she'll be replaying what did, over and over in her head. Now, I want you to drop a comment below with, "I take my time," if you understand the power of slowing down and making the moment last. And stick around, because next, we're going to talk about a trigger that doesn't even require touch at all, yet it can make her feel like you're inside her mind. Number 3, Tantric massage. There's a reason why Tantric massage has been around for thousands of years. It's not just about pleasure, it's about connection. Most men think massage is simply rubbing her shoulders for a couple of minutes before moving on. But Tantric massage is different. It's intentional. It's about slowing everything down and using touch to build an emotional and physical charge that she can't forget. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine Mark, 48, divorced for a few years, starting to date again. He meets Sarah, 44, a woman who's confident but guarded. One night, instead of rushing into intimacy, Mark invites her over after dinner and offers to give her a massage, no strings attached. She agrees. He dims the lights, puts on soft music, and uses warm oil. But here's the key. He doesn't just start kneading her shoulders like a tired masseuse at the mall. He moves slowly, deliberately, tracing along her arms, her neck, her back, never rushing, never breaking the rhythm. Within minutes, she feels her walls coming down, not because of what he's doing physically, but because of the trust he's building. Tantric massage is about understanding that every inch of her body can be a point of connection. It's not about going straight to the obvious areas. It's about creating a journey where your touch makes her curious about what's coming next. This is anticipation at its finest. From a Stoic perspective, this requires mastery over your impulses. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from controlling yourself, not others. In this context, you're not chasing the fastest path to gratification, you're focusing on her experience, on the art of the moment. That restraint is magnetic. It signals that you're not desperate, that you have abundance and control. Psychologically, this works because it triggers her parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and relax state. The more she feels safe, the more she can let go. And when she associates that deep relaxation with your presence, you become the person she instinctively seeks when she wants to feel both safe and alive. Mark didn't talk much during that massage. He let his hands do the speaking. He noticed Sarah's breathing slow down, her shoulders drop, her head tilt slightly forward. Those were the signals that she wasn't just enjoying it, she was surrendering to the moment. And here's the beauty of it. By the time he ended the massage, she wasn't just physically relaxed, she was emotionally open, more receptive than she had been all night. Too many men ruin this by rushing. They think, she's responding, now's my chance. But the real power is in holding back just enough. End the massage before she expects it, while she's still craving more. That's how you leave her thinking about you long after she's gone home. So, when you think about tantric massage, don't just see it as a technique. See it as a statement that you're the kind of man who knows how to slow down, connect deeply, and make her feel like she's the only woman in the world. That's rare, and rarity is irresistible. Now, I want you to drop a comment below with, "I master the moment," if you understand the power of slowing down and being fully present. And stay tuned next. We're going to explore a move that can make her entire body respond instantly without you ever taking your hands off her. Number 4. Whisper in her ear. There's something ancient, primal, and deeply intimate about leaning in close and letting your voice brush against her ear. It's not just about what you say, it's about how it feels. The warmth of your breath, the nearness of your presence, the way your tone drops just slightly lower than normal. It all sends a signal straight past her logical brain and into her nervous system. Most men underestimate this. They think whispering is only for when you're already in a romantic moment. But the truth is, a well-timed whisper can flip a switch in her mind in almost any setting, a crowded restaurant, a quiet walk, or even during a casual conversation. It's not about volume, it's about intimacy. When you whisper, you're inviting her into a private world that no one else gets to hear. The psychological trigger here is exclusivity. You're telling her, without words, this moment is just for you. And when a woman feels chosen, singled out in a sea of people, her attraction for you deepens. From a Stoic perspective, whispering in her ear isn't about losing yourself in impulse, it's about directing your energy with precision. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your tone, your words, your delivery, they color her perception of you. If you approach this with confidence and calm, you're imprinting her memory with a feeling she'll associate with your presence long after. Now, here's where most men go wrong. They use the whisper to blurt out something obvious or needy. That kills the moment. The power lies in restraint. Sometimes it's a playful tease. Sometimes it's a simple observation about her, framed in a way that makes her lean in subconsciously. And sometimes it's not even about words at all, just a murmur of sound, enough to make her wonder what you meant. You also have to control the context. Whispering when she's distracted or stressed won't have the same effect. The moment has to feel natural, unforced. Maybe you're standing close while waiting in line, or you're sitting beside her at a table and the conversation drifts into a private tone. That's when you lean in, not with urgency, but with quiet certainty. There's also a physiological layer here. When you whisper near her ear, you're stimulating her auricular nerves, which are connected to sensations of pleasure and relaxation. It's subtle, but it's why this move works so powerfully when done right. And the real magic? A whisper isn't something she can easily replay in her mind. It fades as soon as you pull back. That fleeting nature makes it stick. She remembers how it made her feel more than the exact words you said. That's the hook. So if you want to master this, remember, whispering is not about trying to impress her. It's about creating a spark that feels accidental, yet intentional. A spark that tells her, I see you differently. And when you can make her feel that without making it a big production, you've stepped into a rarer class of man. If you get this, I want you to drop a comment saying, I own the moment. And in the next section, we'll explore a trigger that's so simple, yet so overlooked. It can make her skin tingle before you even touch her. Number 5. Make your way down there. There's a reason this move has been a classic since the dawn of human intimacy. It's not just about touch, it's about the slow, deliberate build that creates a surge of anticipation she can't shake. And here's where most men blow it. They rush. They treat this like a task to complete rather than a journey to savor. But when you understand the psychology behind it, you realize this is less about the final destination and more about the experience you create along the way. Picture this. Mark, 44, had been dating Laura, 39, for a few weeks. They'd been out to dinner, shared drinks, and exchanged plenty of lingering looks. But the night he really got her hooked wasn't because of what happened in the bedroom, it was because of how it happened. They were on the couch, close but not touching, talking about nothing in particular. And then, without saying a word, Mark let his hand rest gently on her thigh. Not grabbing, not pushing, just letting his presence be known. From there, every movement was slow, intentional, and unhurried. This is the secret. Anticipation is amplified when she feels you could go further, but you choose not to yet. It's a dance of control and release, of letting her mind race ahead of reality. She's not just responding to your touch, she's responding to the story you're telling through it. And the more she imagines, the deeper her desire becomes. From a Stoic perspective, this is mastery over impulse. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In this context, your restraint is what sets you apart from the countless men who let desire dictate their pace. You're showing her that you can lead without forcing, that you can create pleasure without chasing it recklessly. The key is layering sensations. It might start with your hand on her knee while you keep talking, as if nothing has changed. Then maybe your fingers trace along her leg, not fast, but in a way that makes her lean in ever so slightly. You're not in a hurry, because the longer you stretch out the moment, the more her body and mind sink into wanting you closer. Here's another point most men miss. Making your way down there doesn't have to be literal from the start. It can be a mental journey too. Maybe you whisper something playful or slightly suggestive in her ear, then pull back and smile. Maybe you make eye contact that lingers just a beat too long. These moments act as breadcrumbs, pulling her deeper into your presence before your hands even move. And when you finally do, you're not coming in cold. You've built an emotional runway. You've primed her senses so that even the slightest movement feels charged. That's when every touch lands 10 times harder, because it's been earned. Mark didn't rush with Laura that night. He knew exactly where things could go, but he let the tension rise until she was the one closing the gap. And that's the ultimate reversal when she's leaning toward you, hungry for the next move, because you've led her there with patience and precision. If you've ever mastered this kind of control, you know how powerful it feels. If you haven't yet, this is your wake-up call. Start focusing on the journey, not the race. The man who can make her feel more before anything physical even happens is the man she won't forget. If this resonated, drop a comment saying, "I move with purpose." And in the next section, we'll talk about a trigger so primal, it taps into a woman's subconscious in a way that bypasses logic entirely and once you understand it, you'll never see attraction the same way again. Number 6. Tickle her weak spot. Every woman has one. Sometimes it's a physical place, the curve of her neck, the sensitive skin just behind her ear, the inside of her wrist. Other times, it's a psychological one, a playful vulnerability that, when touched the right way, sends a rush through her entire body. The problem is, most men either never discover it or they come charging in like a bull in a china shop. The truth is, finding and teasing her weak spot is less about brute force and more about delicate exploration. Think about it. This isn't just about touch, it's about attention. When you discover a place that makes her squirm, giggle, or catch her breath, what you're really saying is, I'm paying attention to you. And attention, when focused and deliberate, is one of the most intoxicating gifts you can give. But here's the catch: you don't just dive in, you observe, you test. Maybe it's the way she shifts slightly when your fingers brush the back of her neck. Maybe it's how her breathing changes when you graze her lower back. These are subtle cues, and the more you slow down, the louder they become. The Stoics often spoke about understanding others through observation rather than assumption. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change." In the context of intimacy, this translates into a mindset of curiosity rather than arrogance. You're not assuming you already know what she likes. You're learning in real time, adapting based on her reactions. Once you've found her weak spot, you don't go straight for the knockout. You play with it. You circle around it, brushing past without fully committing, letting her anticipation climb. You give her a taste, then retreat, forcing her to follow the thread you're spinning. This is where the real magic happens, when you create a rhythm of approach and retreat that keeps her on the edge, never quite knowing when you'll strike again. Psychologically, this is about contrast. A sudden touch after stillness, a light graze after firm pressure, a pause in conversation followed by a whisper in her ear. Her mind starts to anticipate patterns, but you break them just enough to keep her guessing. That unpredictability is addictive. And here's the part most men miss: her weak spot isn't just for physical reactions, it's an access point to her emotions. When you playfully exploit it, you're not only making her body respond, you're making her feel vulnerable in the best possible way. You're creating a space where she can let go without even realizing she's doing it. There's also a deeper layer here: control. The man who can discover and master her weak spot without rushing is signaling something powerful. I know how to lead without forcing. This is why patience is crucial. You're not there to overwhelm her senses in one instant. You're there to guide her into a place where she's completely immersed in the moment, and you're the one holding the thread. The beauty of this approach is that it applies whether you've been together for a night or a decade. A woman's weak spot might not change, but the way you approach it can evolve, keeping the spark alive long after most relationships go cold. Remember, the goal isn't just to find it, it's to own it, to use it with precision, and to understand that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop just before she expects you to. That's when desire starts to live in her mind as much as in her body. If you understand this, you'll never again be the guy who just goes through the motions. You'll be the man she remembers in the quiet moments, the one who knew exactly where to touch, how to touch, and maybe most importantly, when to stop. If this makes sense to you, drop a comment saying, "I know where." And next, we'll talk about a move that's deceptively simple, but taps into a primal trigger that women respond to on a subconscious level, and once you master it, it changes everything. Number 7. Dry humping. It might sound like something teenagers do when they're fumbling their way through first experiences, but done right, dry humping is one of the most underrated, wildly effective ways to drive a woman crazy. Why? Because it builds an almost unbearable level of tension without giving immediate release. It's the art of touching without technically crossing the line, and the mental tease is just as powerful as the physical one. Picture this. Chris, 42, had been dating Rachel, 39, for a few weeks. They had chemistry, but he didn't want to rush into anything. One night, they were on his couch, watching a movie. As the night went on, they started kissing slow at first, then deeper. Chris shifted his position so he was half over her, his body pressing into hers, but with just enough space that their clothes created a barrier. He moved rhythmically, but with restraint. Rachel's breathing changed almost instantly. She was hooked, her mind running faster than her body. That's the secret. Dry humping forces her imagination to work overtime. You're telling her, I want you, but also, I'm in control. You're creating a craving instead of satisfying it right away, which makes the eventual payoff so much more intense. From a psychological standpoint, this works because anticipation heightens desire. The Stoics might not have been talking about intimacy when they discussed restraint, but the principle applies perfectly here. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." In this case, your restraint is the freedom you're not letting impulse dictate your actions, and that control creates a magnetic pull. The beauty of dry humping is that it engages both your bodies and your minds. Every movement is deliberate. Every shift in position sends a message. You're not just rubbing against each other, you're communicating, building heat layer by layer. You can change the pace, the pressure, even the angle, and each variation sends a new wave of sensation through her. Chris noticed that when he slowed down and pressed his thigh between Rachel's legs, she gripped his shirt tighter. When he sped up just a little, she let out a quiet gasp. He didn't go further that night, and that's exactly why. The next time they saw each other, she couldn't keep her hands off him. There's also a playfulness to this that most men overlook. Dry humping lets you be intense without being overly serious. You can laugh, tease, whisper in her ear, and keep the energy light while still driving her wild. That combination of fun and heat is addictive. One important tip: you have to be present. If your mind is wandering, or you're just going through the motions, she'll feel it. The magic comes from focus, reading her reactions, adjusting, and making her feel like the only person in the world at that moment. For couples in long-term relationships, this is a fantastic way to reignite the spark. It's different from the usual routine, and it brings back that playful "I can't have you yet" energy from the early days. You can even set it up intentionally, agree that you won't take each other's clothes off, and see how far you can push the tension. Done well, dry humping becomes more than just foreplay. It's a statement. It says you're confident enough to tease, disciplined enough to hold back, and creative enough to keep her guessing. And that combination is rare, which makes it unforgettable. If you've ever felt that slow burn tension that makes your heart race, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, this is your sign to try it, not like a teenager, but like a man who understands how powerful restraint can be. If this resonates with you, drop a comment saying, "I control the pace." And in the next part, we'll explore something that blends intimacy with dominance in a way that triggers one of her deepest subconscious attractions, and once you get it right, she'll never forget it. Number 8. Smell good. You can be the most confident, well-dressed man in the room, but if your scent is off stale sweat, overpowering cologne, or nothing at all, you're killing attraction before it even starts. Scent is one of the most powerful, primal triggers for human attraction. It bypasses logic entirely and hits the emotional brain directly. That's why, when you smell good, you don't just look attractive, you feel attractive to her, and she can't always explain why. Science backs this up. Our olfactory senses are directly linked to memory and emotion, which means your scent can become part of your identity in her mind. One whiff of it, even days later, can trigger a flood of feelings and memories about you. That's why a shirt you've worn can make her miss you, or why she'll lean in just to get closer to your neck. Now, smelling good isn't just about picking an expensive cologne. It's about subtlety, consistency, and knowing your own body chemistry. The right scent works with your natural pheromones, not against them. A clean, fresh base, showering regularly, good deodorant, and wearing clean clothes is the foundation. Then, the cologne or fragrance you choose should be applied sparingly. One spray on the chest, one on the neck, maybe one on the wrist. That's it. You want her to discover it when she's close, not smell you from across the street. The Stoics understood the power of presentation, even if they didn't talk about cologne. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In the same way, your outward presence, including your scent, becomes a reflection of your inner discipline. Smelling good consistently is a subtle way of showing you take care of yourself without ever having to say it. It's also a confidence amplifier. When you know you smell good, you carry yourself differently. Your posture improves, your movements become more deliberate, and you're more willing to get close, whether that's leaning in to talk, walking past her slowly, or standing beside her in a crowded room. She notices. Women are incredibly sensitive to scent, and they will associate your smell with the way you make them feel. One of the most overlooked aspects is signature scent. If you wear the same fragrance consistently, it becomes yours in her mind. When she smells it anywhere else, even on someone else, she'll think of you. That's a kind of psychological imprinting that's hard to shake. But here's the real key. Smelling good isn't about drowning yourself in something that screams for attention. It's about drawing her in without her realizing why. She'll lean closer when you speak. She'll linger when you hug. She might even accidentally bury her face in your chest when you're together. Smelling good is also one of the few attraction triggers you can control 100% of the time. You can't always control the lighting, the music, or the mood, but you can control how you smell, and that small edge can make a massive difference, especially in those early moments when she's deciding how she feels about you. So remember, keep it clean, keep it subtle, and keep it consistent. You're not trying to impress everyone in the room. You're creating a private, invisible signal that only the right woman will pick up on. If you agree that scent is one of the most underrated weapons in attraction, drop a comment saying, "I leave my mark." In the next section, we're going to talk about something even more personal, a way to turn up the heat without even touching her. And once you master it, you'll have her hooked before she even realizes what's happening. Number 9. Take a shower together. There's something incredibly intimate about water, steam, and skin. Taking a shower together isn't just about cleanliness, it's about creating a shared space where the rest of the world disappears and it's just the two of you. It's playful, sensual, and disarming all at once. When done right, it can ignite a level of closeness that lingers far beyond the bathroom. Imagine this: Daniel, 29, and his girlfriend Emily, 27, have had a long, stressful day. They're both tired, but instead of collapsing onto the couch, Daniel smiles and says, "Come on, let's shower together." The moment the warm water hits them, the mood shifts. Emily's shoulders relax, she leans into him, and the day's tension literally washes away. The shower becomes their private escape, playful splashes, gentle touches, and whispered jokes that only they share. It's a moment that resets everything. Here's why it works so well. In that space, there are no distractions, no phones, no television, no outside noise. Physical contact feels natural, even in the smallest gestures. Running your hands through her hair as you rinse out the shampoo, massaging her shoulders under the warm stream, or tracing the water drops down her back, all of it builds a sensory connection that's hard to replicate anywhere else. From a Stoic perspective, Marcus Aurelius's advice rings true. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. In a shower together, you're creating a mental environment that's fully in the present. You're not thinking about work or tomorrow's schedule. You're focused on her, and she can feel it. That depth of presence is rare and powerful. The key is to keep the moment relaxed, not rushed. Let the water be part of the foreplay, not just a pit stop before the bedroom. You're building anticipation in a setting that naturally encourages closeness. She'll remember how you made her feel, not just what you did. And yes, it's also about trust. Sharing something as vulnerable as a shower requires a level of comfort and openness that strengthens the bond between you. For many women, it's not just sexy, it's deeply reassuring. If you're reading this and thinking, yeah, I can see how that works, then go ahead and leave a comment saying, I create intimacy. Light. Because once you understand how to blend sensuality with comfort, you'll realize that the best moments aren't always the most elaborate sometimes. They're just you, her, and the sound of water falling. Next, we'll get into a way to push her excitement to the edge while still keeping complete control of the pace, a move that, once mastered, will have her thinking about you long after the night is over. Number 10. Make her laugh. Laughter isn't just a bonus in attraction, it's one of the most powerful turn-on triggers you can use, and most men underestimate it. Women are drawn to men who can make them feel light, unguarded, and in the moment. When you make her laugh, you're not just entertaining her, you're lowering her defenses, creating emotional connection, and setting the stage for deeper intimacy. Think about it. In that instant when she's laughing, she's not calculating, not overthinking, and not distracted by her phone or the outside world. She's with you. And more importantly, she's associating that good feeling with you. The human brain loves to link emotions with people, and when she feels joy in your presence, you've just built a memory that sticks. There's also a deeper psychology here. Humor signals intelligence, confidence, and social ease traits women instinctively find attractive. But the trick is to use humor as a shared language, not a performance. This isn't about delivering a stand-up routine. It's about reading her energy, teasing her playfully, and knowing when to use wit to diffuse tension. For example, imagine a quiet dinner where the mood feels a little stiff. Instead of forcing heavy conversation, you make an offhand, slightly self-deprecating comment about how seriously you're analyzing the menu, or you jokingly warn her that your cooking skills are legendary in a bad way. She laughs, leans in, and suddenly the air feels lighter. That's the doorway to deeper connection. From a Stoic perspective, humor also serves a higher purpose. It keeps you grounded. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Humor is a reaction that transforms awkwardness into intimacy, tension into warmth. It shows her that you can navigate life's little hiccups without losing your composure, and that's incredibly attractive. One of the mistakes men make is trying too hard to be funny, which can come off as needy or inauthentic. The most magnetic kind of humor is effortless, tailored to the moment, and often involves letting her in on the joke. It could be an inside joke that only you two share, a playful nickname you've given her, or a quick-witted remark that feels spontaneous. Another thing, laughter and physical attraction are closely linked in the brain. That little burst of dopamine she gets when you make her laugh primes her for wanting to be closer to you. You're essentially creating a feedback loop. More laughter leads to more attraction, which leads to more shared moments, and so on. Here's the beauty of it. Making her laugh doesn't just make her see you as fun, it makes her feel safe being herself around you. When she's relaxed and open, her body language changes. She touches you more, holds eye contact longer, and lets her guard down. So remember, if you want to drive her wild, it's not always about grand gestures or intense seduction. Sometimes it's as simple as being the man who can turn her worst day into one she'll never forget, just by making her laugh until she's holding her stomach. Because at the end of the day, desire isn't built on tension alone, it's built on moments she wants to relive, and nothing is more replay-worthy in her mind than the way you made her feel when you had her laughing, smiling, and seeing you as the best part of her world. If you've made it this far, you now understand that turning her on isn't just about physical moves. It's about creating moments that hit her emotionally, mentally, and physically all at once. It's about knowing how to build anticipation, spark curiosity, and keep that connection alive long after you've left the room. The truth is, any man can follow a checklist of techniques, but the men who really drive women wild are the ones who blend skill with presence, who make her feel like she's the only woman in the world when they're together. That's the difference between temporary attraction and lasting desire. And here's the thing, this isn't just about getting her, it's about becoming the man she never wants to lose. The man who challenges her, excites her, and makes her feel things she didn't even know she craved. So, which one of these 10 ways are you going to try first? Or better yet, which one do you think is your secret weapon already? Drop it in the comments below and own it with just 3 words. I turn heads. If you found this video valuable, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. Because trust me, what's next will take your game to a level most men never reach. Until next time, stay sharp, stay confident, and remember, attraction isn't something you chase, it's something you create.